Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of the Alex Beyond Thoughts podcast with me, your host, Alex. I hope you're well, and I hope this episode finds you in a lovely, lovely day. Um, this episode is all about being 6 months into the year and you are lost. And you're feeling lost, and you're feeling like you're a bit separated from yourself, a bit separated from your goals, or you're feeling like you just don't really know what's going on right now, but we're in June, and how the heck are we in June? This episode is for you. So, this episode is kind of a three-step framework into getting yourself unlost, into feeling a bit on track again, into feeling like you know exactly where the next 6 months are going. This episode is for you if you're looking for that and you're looking for some inspiration and new perspectives on getting to a point where you feel like you are on track again and you're not lost. So let's dive in to this episode. Okay. One of the first things I really want to talk about in getting yourself out of feeling lost is checking in with yourself and checking in with your vision board and with your goals. Now, when we're lost, it's usually because we feel like there is no forward path, there is no direction to the way we are doing things, there's no strategy in which we are trying to achieve things, and there's really just like a sense of, I have no idea what is going on with my life right now. I feel like that's where a lot of us feel like we are lost. Um, so checking in with yourself is going to be one of the most important things you do to get back on track and to feeling like you are no longer lost. So, if you didn't at the start of the year or a couple months into the year, create yourself some key goals, some things to achieve, some progress to be made, what you wanted on your vision board. If you didn't create any of these things at the start of the year, then really what you need to do now is create those things. Because as humans, without some sense of progression, without some sense of movement, we feel stagnant and we feel bad. Like we always feel like we need to be moving forward on something. And that's not to say it has to be materialistic. You don't always need to be working towards $1 million year. You don't always need to be working towards this big major goal that's going to change your life and make you really successful. Sometimes you need to work towards a hobby. Sometimes you need to work towards being more authentic with yourself. Sometimes you need to work towards a better relationship with your partner or your family or whatever it is. It doesn't always have to be materialistic. It doesn't have to always be world changing. It can just be, I want to learn Spanish and I've done nothing in 6 months to help me on my path to learning Spanish, right? So check in with what the goals actually are, because without these goals, we're going to feel like we are in this kind of endless spiral of not having any direction or forward thinking. We're not going to feel like we're achieving anything, and it's just going to diminish our self-worth because, like it or not, we're in a capitalistic society. Everything around us is telling us that we're supposed to be achieving things. And if you aren't, you're going to be beating yourself up for it, whether you realize it or not. You're going to be comparing yourself, right? So, what are these goals? It could be anything. It could be learning Spanish. It could be developing your relationship. It could be finding love for the first time, going on your first date. Whatever the goal is, check in with yourself with what you want and what you want to achieve or what you want to experience, because experience is a part of this too. Like whether you want to be shaking your ass on a boat in Ibiza or you want to be at the top of a mountain about to ski down in Canada, whatever the goal is, whatever the vision of the experience is, find out what it is and make sure that it actually aligns with what you want out of your life. So, a task I've mentioned before is working out what you want. What is aligned to the life that is going to make you happy? What are the things that you value most in your life? Work out those things. It's usually a list of 5 to 10. If it's any more than 10, those things after the 10 points are just kind of like frivolous. It would be nice if we had this, but it's not essential to my life. It's not essential to my happiness. What are those 5 to 10 things that you know change your attitude, can change your mindset, can change your perspective, can change your happiness levels, your emotional state very quickly? Whether it's time with family, whether it's quality conversations, whether it's tickling an itch in your brain through drawing, like whatever those things that you value most are, make sure whatever these visions and goals you have are ticking off those things that you value. Because if they're not, very quickly you're going to find that working towards them and spending the time and effort to try and get there is going to be so unfulfilling and unrewarding that you will procrastinate and do everything you can to avoid doing them because you don't give a shit really about them. It's like that, oh, I'd love to be rich and famous. I'd love to be Kim Kardashian, but actually, if you had her life, you wouldn't last a day, right? Because it's not actually what you want. Some people, a very small portion of the world, it probably is. That woman is crazy. She has a lot on her plate, but it's that checking in on what it is you really want. If you take the bare bones of it away, if it wasn't a £1 million trip on a private jet to the Maldives, and actually you had to take 6 planes and a ferry and travel for 2 more days after that just to get to that experience, would you still value it and appreciate it in the same way? If not, and it's just like the idea of it and the luxury of it or whatever it is, maybe that's not actually what you want. And maybe you need to reassess and look at something different for what you actually value. So get clear. What are your visions for your future? What are your goals? Be really directly honest with yourself and make sure they align with the things you actually value. Because doing the hard slog on a Thursday at 3 p.m. when you're having to finish the last 2 hours of your shift at work, is it going to get you through? Is the thought of that experience or that goal going to get you through? And if it's not, change the goal, right? Change the work you have to do in order to be able to get there. So that is my first thing, right? What is the goal? What is the vision? Do I want this enough? Is it the most important thing to me right now? If it's not, pivot and change. If it is, then we can work on it. We can execute, we can get ourselves there. So that is my first thing. Reassess and check in with yourself on what your actual goals for the year are. Whether you've made them already, check in and make sure that they are still aligned. If you've not, spend the time that you need to working out what it is. Because if we don't have that forward direction in life, we just end up spiraling and inserting things into our life that cause distractions and cause us to have really temporary short-term happiness that is probably quite detrimental to us in the long term. Think about why we all get stuck on TikTok, why we all get stuck on reels and short form content and things that like binging Netflix series and things that like take our attention really quickly. It helps us to avoid what we need to be doing, but gives us that short-term satisfaction and enjoyment that means it's worth it. The trade-off at the moment of that 2 hour Netflix binge is worth it compared to having to sit there and do your taxes, right? But in the long term, doing your taxes is probably quite good, so you don't have someone knocking on your door for tax evasion, right? But it's really hard to do that leverage in the moment and convince yourself that it's worth it in the moment. So these things that you're envisioning that you want for yourself need to be important enough that you're going to look at that 2 hour binge on Netflix and decide to trade it in for your taxes. You don't always have to make this trade. It does not mean that Netflix, binging a Netflix series for 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever is a bad thing. It's just, what are your priorities at the moment? Where do you need to be splitting your time to make sure that the goals and the things that you are wanting to achieve so that you don't feel lost are actually attainable and actually able for you to execute because you want them that badly. So from that, you now know your goals, you now know your vision for your life and what you want over the next 6 months, the next year, however long you choose to plan for that feels good for you. We need to now plan and strategize in both the short and long term to avoid this kind of distraction and avoidance mechanism that we all get caught in so that we can build for that future. Because if you have these dreams and you only spend 2 weeks working on them, are you ever going to achieve it? No, very clearly not. Otherwise, we would all be probably billionaires and living life on a yacht. And part of this planning and strategizing for the short and long term is building daily check-ins. So I've mentioned in another episode, the overwhelm episode, about how I like to time block and look at my week and make sure I actually have time for the things that I say I'm going to execute on and promising my word to things I can actually deliver. But part of that planning and strategizing, right, is making sure that I'm getting the gratification in the short term, I'm getting the rewards in the short term so that I can keep going for the long term. Because as much as we practice grit and resilience and determination and discipline, if we don't have those short-term rewards, it's really hard for us to keep looking towards the long term because we don't feel like the needle's moving. And when you don't feel like the needle's moving, you give up much more quickly. So have systems in place, and you can find these in many a place and within your own brain, to be honest, of what goals in the short term you need to achieve to feel like you're moving the needle so that the long-term goal feels that much more achievable. So if the long-term goal is that you want a partner and a baby and a white picket fence house, in the short term, what are the achievable goals to get there? Do you need to be going on 3 dates a week? Do you need to be going on 1 date a month? Do you need to be holding a standard with whom you swipe right on so that you know that the person is aligned with what you actually want out of your life? In the short term, what are the things that you can achieve on a regular basis that feel like you're moving the needle forward? So, say you want to build a YouTube channel, do you need to be hitting a goal of 2K views per month? Is that the first goal? So in July, I need to hit 2K views per month, which means I need to do these 6 things. I need to post reels regular, not reels. I need to post shorts regularly. I need to film 3 days a week so that I can create a weekly vlog and edit it each week. I need to spend 2 hours a week writing my copy and my SEO so that my videos get out to the most people possible. And I need to study for 1 hour a week on how other people use their strategies to get exposure on YouTube. Therefore, if I do all of those 6 things, I am 50% more likely, 60% more likely to be able to hit 2,000 views a month on YouTube, right? So plan for the short-term goal because your long-term goal is probably millions on YouTube. Your long-term goal is having a baby, but you're not going to just like pick a random guy off the street and say, I'm having a baby with you, unless that's the plan. Um, those big long-term goals of the macro, you're not just going to achieve that in the next 2 weeks. So when you're sat there for the next 2 weeks executing, doing the to-do list, going through the slog of having to do all of these things, then that long-term goal isn't going to sustain you for that moment. But knowing that if I hit this 2K goal on YouTube this month, I'm going to have achieved something that's putting me on the path to achieving 1 million subscribers, you're going to be that much more determined and that much more encouraged to keep going. You're going to see the needle move because once you hit that 2K mark, suddenly 2K seems like a small number. Suddenly 10K seems achievable. So then you hit the 10K mark. Suddenly 20K seems more achievable. Suddenly in 2 days, you've got 4,000 views on one video and you're like, whoa, this was once my monthly goal. Now I'm feeling rewarded and achieved. I feel like I've achieved so much. Let me keep going for the next one, right? So whatever the goal is, we need to plan for the long term of having 1 million subscribers, of having the baby in the white picket fence, but we need to keep our eyes on the short-term goal, right? What is achievable within the next month? And I don't say achievable to mean limit your goals. You might find a person that you want to have a baby within the next month. That could absolutely happen to you. However, by keeping our eyes on these short-term goals and making them achievable in the way that means we've planned for this, we have strategized for this, we know exactly the steps that we need to do to make this happen, the likelihood of it not happening after doing these things is much more unheard of than the likelihood of it happening because I've done these things. That is what's going to help you move forward. That is what's going to help you move the needle. And that is what's going to help you keep going so that you can achieve this long-term goal, right? So plan and strategize for both the short term and the long term and build your daily check-ins. So if you know those 6 things you need to do to achieve the 2K month on YouTube, if you need to do those 6 things every day, build a daily check-in that you keep on your home screen to know every single morning, every single evening, you can tick those off to know that you've done those things. Perfect. Your daily check-in will tell you that you've done the things to move the needle forward. That is a little bit of a short-term reward to say, I'm doing the things I need to be doing. Your daily check-ins can also look like referring back to your Pinterest board, referring back to your list of goals, referring back to your life values and saying, have I done all of these things today? Have I at least met my top 3 life values today? Have I spent quality time with someone? Have I had a conversation about the business that I'm passionate about? Have I nourished my body correctly? if my health is one of my life goals. And if you haven't done these things, have you got enough time to at least achieve one of them today so you feel more accomplished, so you feel like you're moving the needle in your day, so you feel a bit happier within yourself, right? So build these daily check-ins so that you know exactly off the top of your brain what your 10 life values are. You know what the goal is. You know what you're working towards regularly so that when it gets hard and you feel like you want to procrastinate and you feel like you want to avoid doing the thing, it's right at the top of your brain to go, nope, I know I want that million plaque for YouTube. So that means I have to post a reel today. That means I have to post a short today. That means I have to write copy for this email to go out to my email list today. And then how much more likely are you going to be to do it? If you can't even remember the goals you set for the year, why would you not be lost right now? If you had no forward direction for the year, how would you not be feeling lost right now? Because I know I would. So plan, strategize, short and long term, and build your daily check-ins. Coffee break. So I want you to introduce more fun and more structure into your week. So it's all going to well having these goals, having the things that you want, having the visions of the experiences that you want to have in your life. But if you have no fun and you have no structure, you're going to be feeling lost right now. You're going to be feeling overwhelmed. You're going to feel like life is going in a regular pattern of 6 months to 6 months with nothing changing. So, with these life values, with the things that you know you want to achieve and the vision you know you want to have for your life, which parts of it are your fun? Which parts of it are solely fun? Not for content, not because it's moving the needle. Which parts of that are just for fun? Is it a tennis hobby? Is it a hobby of learning music? Is it a hobby of learning Spanish? Is it a hobby of um categorizing things and planning things? If that's your hobby, do you like to plan things for other people? Whatever it is, hosting dinner parties. Girlies, we can have a hobby of literally anything if we put our minds to it. Boys, you probably already have a hobby of sports or maths or something like that. Introduce more of that fun into your week and into your month so that when you're doing all of this hard stuff, you are offsetting it with stuff that brings you joy for no other reason than it brings you joy. How many of us know someone that is burning themselves out as we speak because they are just grinding? They are not having any fun in their week. They are not doing anything to fill their cup up. They are not doing anything simply because it's fun and it's enjoyable. We don't want to be those people. We don't want to be miserable with 100 million in the bank. That's not the life we want for ourselves. So introduce more fun. Work out what that fun is for you. Try a hobby, order a set off Amazon, order a kit, whatever it is, but don't monetize that thing. Simply keep it for fun. Simply keep it for your level of enjoyment for no other reason to distract yourself and enjoy something that's moving the needle of your life values and moving the needle of your happiness, but not to do with business, not to do with your career, not to do with one of your life goals, right? So introduce more fun into your week and into your life. Do something potentially hard, like a marathon or something. Like a lot of people seem to be doing marathons right now. Do something hard if you want to, if you really crave that challenge, but do it because it's fun, not because it has to tick off a box for you, right? I also want you to introduce more structure. So, in the episode about overwhelm, I talk a bit more in detail about time blocking and setting up my Google Calendar and prioritizing time for tasks that I need to get done. So, go listen to that if you need a bit more of that. But having more structure in your week, especially for women, having that masculine structure in your week is going to do wonders for your nervous system regulation. You're going to feel so much less lost if you have this structure in your week and in your month. If you know the forward progression of your life, if you know the things you need to do to make you happy, if you know the time that you actually have to execute on these things, how much less lost are you going to feel? So much. So plan and structure in the time to set yourself up well. Structure in your meditations if you need to. Structure in your favorite yoga class. Structure in a Saturday morning coffee with your best friend. If these things make you happy, if these things are fun, if these things are moving the needle, structure them in so that you don't lose out with distractions, with avoidance, with things that don't actually make you feel good. So, on that point of more structure and building in the masculine structure in our lives, if you need more support in that, the Unstoppable Woman, the course I have, is going to be amazing for you. Get in touch with me. You can absolutely jump on that. Um, but structure is going to relieve you and relieve your nervous system in unending ways. You're going to feel so much better. So a lot of us like kind of type A, I think that's what you call it, where strategy and structure is great. You understand it. It feels good. If you're not one of these people, then find a system that works. If that is you hire someone to be your personal assistant for 1 hour a week and structure your week for you so you don't have to think about it again and you just have to follow the plan, do it. If you need to pay your best friend who is a type A and loves to plan and structure things, pay her fucking 25 quid to organize your week for you each week. Whatever it is, right? Give yourself these like simple, supportive measures so that you are able to insert more structure into your week. If even if you don't like to structure things, even if you don't, it feels like it goes against your life force energy and your creative energy to plan things, then fine, pay someone to do it for you so you don't have to use the mental capacity to do it. Because I know a lot of people don't like to deal with numbers, don't like to deal with strategy, don't like to deal with those things. Fine. I disagree. I think you should have a lot of them in your life. If you really don't want to at this stage, you don't have the time for it, it's going to cause you more strain, you think, than is worth it right now. Find someone to do it for you. Check in with them regularly on it so you know that what you align with is what they are inputting into your schedule. But for the love of God, please, it's going to help you structure your life a little bit more so you can have more fun, you can execute on your goals, and you can stop feeling so lost 6 months into the year. I don't want the next 3 months and the next 6 months to feel exactly the same. I don't want you to have to listen to this at Christmas and go, well, that was another 6 months gone. I don't know what to do with my life now. Like, I don't want you to have to keep repeating these patterns. So if you've listened to this whole episode today, write down these three framework steps. Check in with your vision board and your goals. Reassess. Is it for you? Is it not? Then plan of action of what you need to get done so that the vision, the goal is actually going to come true. Plan and strategize for both the short term and the long term goal and build in daily check ins so that everything you want for your life, everything you value is sitting at the very top of your brain and you're never going to forget them. And number three, introduce more fun as well as more structure so that you can live your happiest and healthiest self without feeling so lost every couple months. Okay, that is all I have for today. If you need any more support on this, you know where to find me. Alex Beyond Thoughts on Instagram, all my links below. You can contact me directly or through my website and my email list and everything as well. So I love you. I hope you're feeling a little bit less lost. Please do the things that are going to help you, even if it feels resistant. I know that you've got this. Listen to me talk as many times as you need to whilst you plan and execute all of this. It will support you, okay? I love you, and I will see you in the next episode of the Alex Beyond Thoughts podcast. Bye, guys.